Hello and welcome back to Area Nerdy 1. I am Jarrett.
Leroy Jenkins.
So dated. We need to get better memes, up-to-date memes.
So I am Jimmy, and we are the three amigos.
Dos caballeros.
The Tres Caballeros. Which, is that a bad word?
I think so. I think it's like a pejorative, like either pejorative term or just like, it's not like what we think.
Because I remember we were hanging out with some people who were like non-Spanish speakers, or
they were
Spanish,
actually from Colombia.
yeah, native Spanish speakers, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you're a really cool guy. You're very, they're trying to come up with a word." And I was like, like a gentleman. They're like, "What is it?" Because caballero, I think I've seen translates directly to gentleman, so I was like, caballero. And they're like, no, not that.
Well, what was it? The Disney movie, The Three Caballeros, that we always had.
Yeah.
We always watched.
So I was like, does that not mean gentleman?
Apparently not. But, you know what is gentlemanly?
What?
Joining the fight against corporate coffee.
Yeah, fuck that corporate coffee.
Fuck that corporate coffee. I like it. I like it local and I like it quality. So that's why I go to Big Nerd Coffee Company.
And fair trade.
And you know what? It's just good.
Yeah, it's just
good.
And you know what? It's good.
It's good. Yeah. So I'm a big coffee drinker, and Jimmy and I are going to be working on a project here soon. Once we get that done, we'll actually announce that. But it'll take quite a bit of coffee in the morning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And let me tell you, we're going to need some strong but quality coffee, and every time we're going to go Big Nerd.
And with some flavor in it. I'm not like just eating like ground beans out of the can. No, I want some flavor. I want some nutmeg. I want some cinnamon. Throw it all in there.
No, for me, I like just the taste of pure, rich coffee. Something that really can punch me in the head.
You know what? You know what the good news is?
What?
At Big Nerd Coffee Company, you can get both.
You can get both, and good eats.
All right, I'm gonna.
Well, yeah, but we gotta jump right into it because we got some big stuff going on.
Hey, that's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That's fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor. I don't see him in enough. I liked him. I liked him as Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think he would do better if he had a more active role in the plot. And this is exactly what we're gonna get.
Yeah, this has been on the docket for the fans of the saga since
Obi-Wan Kenobi actually.
Yeah.
Like as a character in the first movie.
Yeah, I don't know when the call for him to have his own show or movie really started, but it's definitely within probably the past 5 years it's reached its crescendo. Yeah. And it's finally happening.
Oh yeah. So this is obviously going to take place during the height of the Empire.
Right.
The post-transition they're right in smack dab in the middle of the Empire.
Okay, so it's not like, I guess you would call it kind of a Reconstruction period anymore. It's just the Empire.
No, Reconstruction would have been probably like around the Bad Batch, post-Bad Batch kind of era. This is Empire.
Okay.
And the Empire is at the height of its power. It dominated all of the systems.
Okay. All right. So,
yep.
All right. Yeah, so we got all the Inquisitors are fully trained.
And they're Jedi that survived Order 66 have been killed, most of them, or in deep hiding.
So Order 66 is in its final days because they think that either they're dead or they just don't know where they are.
So fun fact, Order 66 is just them turning against the Jedi. So at this point, we're post Order 66. These are new orders.
Okay.
Most of the clone troopers have been phased out completely at this point.
Yeah.
Purge troopers, however, if we see any of them, those will be clones.
Okay.
Those are the last clones.
Purge, are those the ones or are those the ones in black armor?
Those are the ones that are in black armor that accompany the Inquisitors.
Right.
Yes.
I tell you what, yeah. Okay, let's break it down a little bit. So on Star Wars Day, the release, there was a teaser trailer about a month ago, and then on Star Wars Day this past Wednesday, I think it was. Yeah,
Wednesday, May the 4th.
They released a little bit more of an in-depth trailer, and I went through and I took a few screenshots of everyone's took this thing apart, but there's a couple points that I just kind of want to point out.
Okay.
I'm not nothing groundbreaking, but things that I'm interested in. First off, let's take a look here. Blah blah blah. All right, let's start from the top. So first of all, we see the Inquisitors.
Yes.
The Inquisitorius.
That is second brother or second sister and third brother or fifth brother, I think.
Mhm.
And what's his name? The
The Grand Inquisitor.
Grand Inquisitor. Yes.
Yeah. Who? Spoiler alert to anyone who hasn't seen Rebels. Used to be a temple guardian at the Jedi Temple,
Yes.
and then he's
Not.
not brainwashed, I don't think, but he turned to the dark side basically.
Basically, I think what the conception is kind of like Jedi are purely good and everything, but like definitely after Order 66 and with the Inquisitors, you see that they are, for lack of a better word, they're human.
Right.
When the chips are down, sometimes you just got to go with the winning side.
Right.
And the Inquisitor, the Grand Inquisitor's big story is that he let them in. He
Right.
basically was like, okay. That's why they don't have any resistance going into the temple with the 501st.
Right. All right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
What I get from, to do a little bit of comparison, like the vibe I get from the Grand Inquisitor is kind of like John Kreese from Karate Kid. He's
Yeah.
just like, maybe not as like intense as that character, but he's the guardian of the temple, so he's like all combat based basically, and he's like just all about that like fighting warrior ethic. And he's like, and he like strongly disagrees with like the philosophy of the Jedi. So
I don't think that's true. I don't think it was like about the philosophy of the Jedi. He was just doing his due diligence, and then, here comes literal Darth Vader with thousands of clones, and he knows what's good. So he gives up, and the only way to survive is to join the Inquisitors. So it's not like, all the Inquisitors are. So if you don't know, the Inquisitors aren't just Jedi that were like Anakin Skywalker that had issues with the actual the Order itself. They were Jedi that surrendered, gave up, and were tortured into becoming the Darksiders and joined them
right,
willingly.
okay, so they are kind of brainwashed.
Yeah, they are pretty brainwashed. Yeah, but that's it. I'm really interested in seeing this. It's confirmed that there is going to be a Vader showdown at some point.
Yes, we're gonna get into that a little bit.
Okay.
So the next thing that we see in this trailer that kind of really got me was you see Obi-Wan throwing down with some Aikido.
Aikido.
Yeah, so Aikido is a martial art that you can look it up on YouTube. Basically, the martial arts like the gentle. No, that's judo. What does Aikido translate to?
We should really look these
Aikido.
up. Self-defense.
I mean, it translates to the way of unifying with life energy. Or the way of the harmonious spirit. Anyway, Aikido.
Like spirit bending.
Yeah. So anyway, Aikido is basically a martial art that revolves around using your opponent's momentum against them, doing a lot of throwing and grappling. It's gotten a bad rep in recent years.
Why?
Because it's not, I don't think it's a completely well-rounded martial art, first of all. And second of all, it's a martial art that has lent itself and become a little bit culty by the people who follow it. It's like, this Aikido, I'm going to just throw every person who comes in, they don't practice hard sparring, basically.
Okay, they fully emphasize that the person you're fighting is just going to throw all their weight behind a jab and then not have anything follow up.
Exactly. And like Aikido, some people have pointed out, it originally started as an art for someone who is fighting a samurai or someone with a sword when you don't have a sword. So like if you're practicing, it's like, okay, this person's going to be full swinging at me with a sword. Yeah, that's how you disarm it.
Yeah.
But it has become, it's very easy for it to be taken up by people who are like the McDojos, the ones who aren't actually martial artists, and they're able to basically get by with Aikido dojos being like, my mind powers are going to stop this person. So you see them a lot on like McDojo Life and things like that. But I don't really have anything against, like, even if you don't ever use it for a fight and you're not using it for sparring, if you like doing shit, do it. Whatever. I think this is interesting because Aikido, like the whole mindset is, I'm going to defeat my enemy without hurting them and not completely unarmed. I'm going to use them in their momentum against them, and it can be very cinematic. Like it's Steven Seagal's martial art from his movie. He's
the Steven Seagal.
So it's interesting that like they it's and like the Aikido mindset is like very pacifist, very I'm going to use my skill and not completely hurt this person. I'm just going to disarm them, throw them, get away, basically. So that's kind of the mindset that it's interesting that they chose that martial art to be the one that Obi-Wan Kenobi is using.
I mean, I guess that's kind of what Jedi would learn, something that would be minimize somebody's pain and risk, and also if they were disarmed with their primary weapon being lightsaber.
Yeah, or it speaks, I think, more to where Obi-Wan Kenobi is at. Like he's not going. Like we know he has his lightsaber, but he's not going to use it. He's not going to draw and take these people's lives if he doesn't have to.
Yeah, that's fair. But also, like we know that Kenobi strangely throughout his isolation becomes a better lightsaber duelist and better combatant
and a better Jedi. So he is like, he's like Mr. Miyagi basically.
Yeah,
like he's older and he's not as like physically strong or as physical, but like he becomes so skilled and like so like one with the universe. And like he becomes a better Jedi over this thing. So and you see that in his duel with Maul, where he's like, okay, he's not going to be as acrobatic or stylistic or as powerful as he was before, but he like within 2 moves ends that fight.
Yeah, which is the perfect way to end that rivalry.
He is a straight up samurai at that point.
Yeah, which is now that we have all, I want to bring up a really good point, is that now that we have all this actual character build up, does like the original trilogy feel more of a letdown now because of the battle between him and Vader?
No.
Okay.
Well, first of all, we saw the Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan Kenobi reshoot, basically.
Yeah, that was
in my head canon is that one is the original one.
Yeah,
but I don't think so. I think that both Obi-Wan and Darth and Vader at that point were like just kind of feeling each other out. Like they knew that how this fight was going to go, but they were like like okay, we're going to, and that's how and also first of all that's how the fight had to be filmed. It was 2 guys who were unskilled in sword fighting who kept breaking the lightsabers.
Yeah.
And I think that I definitely think that it would have been better if they had been able to do something like the Darth Vader reshoot. But I don't think that it takes canonically that scene is like bad or anything. Like,
I mean,
like it's where they're both at. Like Darth Vader can't be as acrobatic or as intense as he was before, and neither can Obi-Wan. And they have not, as far as we know, they haven't seen each other in like years since this point.
Probably at this point, he hasn't actually fought anybody with a lightsaber before,
right?
For a very long time. Obviously, immediately after Order 66, there was quite a few, Jedi that he, went after personally, but Obi-Wan Kenobi was probably like the first one in years.
And I think that Darth Vader, he would want to like relish this.
Yeah,
like he would.
So cut off his freaking legs.
Yeah, so that for the original the redo fight scene, it makes a lot of sense if Darth Vader was coming from a place of passion and like anger, but like the Darth Vader that we see in the original trilogy, he's a lot more cold and calculating. He's gonna like draw this out and kind of toy with Obi-Wan basically.
Yeah,
he's gonna draw it out and let basically it may not be as acrobatic, but he's gonna let Obi-Wan know that he's the better skilled lightsaber, and this is not gonna end well for him.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. To answer your question, no, I will still watch that.
No.
Okay, what's another thing? So, blah blah blah. Okay, here's the thing that got me.
Okay.
When the second sister is up on the roof, you can't escape him, and then it cuts directly to Darth Vader's arm coming on, and then like this one, like Vader. I read somewhere that like they kind of base Vader off of Frankenstein almost a little bit, especially the scenes where they're putting them back together, and you can definitely see it with this. And like it's going to be Hayden Christensen, right?
Yep.
So like from these images and like that connection, you can't escape him. It's like he's a literal monster.
Yeah.
He's a Frankenstein, and like there's always been a disconnect in my mind between Darth Vader as we see at the end of Revenge of the Sith and Darth Vader as in A New Hope. Like I don't put Hayden Christensen or Anakin Skywalker as that character ever until now. Now we like see like he is literally
it's all coming together.
Yeah, he is a like twisted monster of himself.
So I really want to see first of all Hayden Christensen. I think is a very a good actor. I don't think he's the greatest actor in the world. What I'm really interested to see is like how he handles the role. Did he get better throughout the years? this is going to take a lot of voice acting and a lot of like actual like behind them.
Or is it going to be James Earl Jones?
James Earl Jones might voice him, but we'll see.
Yeah. Honestly, they might not even. I know that Hayden Christensen's going to be in there, but he might not be in the suit.
Right.
They might get something like like they did with
Prosthetics
David,
and stuff.
like they did with David Prowse. They had a guy who was big and strong looking to physically play Darth Vader, which is fine. I'm not seeing
James Earl Jones
anywhere.
So he might not be voicing the character, at least yet. At least
Right.
we know. Yeah, obviously a lot of stuff has to come out and be released before we can figure that out.
Yeah. Okay. Another big point, which I just saw. Where is it? Aha. Like he trained his father.
That was
Emotional damage.
That was harsh.
I know. And okay, so I'm interested to see will Uncle Owen be a big, will his character get fleshed out? Because literally in A New Hope, he and Aunt Beru are just there to be fridged. They're just there so
they're there to get murked. They're fried. They're not fridged. They freaking get roasted.
I know. That's the term for it.
Oh.
Usually that the term fridged is applied for female characters, where basically their only point in the story is to die to move the male character forward. But in A New Hope, they're there, and they basically say, "No, I need your help for another year," and then dead.
Yeah. Well, also, to be fair to Uncle, what's his name?
Uncle Owen.
Uncle Owen. I mean, the Empire is the Empire. It controls everything, and the Rebel Alliance does not exist yet. There are like Rebel fringes at this point, and canonically, the Rebel Alliance hasn't really been codified yet. It's not until after the Battle of Scarif, where the Rebel Alliance really starts to come together. And so right now, it doesn't seem like anything's going to change.
Right.
They're going up against the Empire, not a Empire. It's the Empire.
Yeah, exactly. So but that's your original question was, do you think the original trilogy is kind of a letdown now? And in Uncle Owen's case, and Aunt Beru, I think it will be, because no matter how much they are meant to be fleshed out and be a part of the story, they're just there to die. And more than any other character, they're just there to die to move the plot forward,
which is really tragic. So what I really find interesting about these series is that they always have an end point.
Yeah,
there's an end point. There's they can't do certain things because Uncle Owen dies.
Yeah,
Obi-Wan Kenobi has an ending.
Yeah,
so I'd like to see how much they have here, and if they bring in Chewie into this movie and into the series, I swear to God.
I didn't get a picture of it, but there was someone took a still from the trailer where you see the outline of a gun that looks like it might be Han Solo's gun. By the way, did you ever read Aragon as a kid?
No.
I was thinking about, for some reason I got a flashback about that last week, and I was thinking about the story of that because I loved those books as a kid. And I was like, that is literally just plagiarized Star Wars.
Absolutely.
Because the exact same thing happened. His uncle got fridged just to get him to go with his wizard friend.
His wizard friend that trains him, and then he gets an unlikely band of rogues and meets up with a princess, but he's also a chosen one and takes on the evil Empire.
And their swords are the blades are colored, so he's got a red sword. It's basically a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Anyway, Chris, the kid was 15.
I was a warrior cat. I was into the warrior books.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Did you know there's over 70 books?
Warrior cats?
Yeah.
How the hell? Never. I thought so. There was about 50 Animorphs books. I thought that was a lot, but
no, there's a lot of warriors books.
Yeah,
I've read at least half of those bastards.
Are they good?
If you're in middle school and you're really into cats.
If you've never read a book before.
If you never read a book before. Actually, just to get on a tangent, apparently there's a huge the warrior cat fans are notoriously fickle because Aaron Hunter, the person that wrote it, is actually a collection of 6 to 7 women.
Really?
Yep. And in books and in the same page, their eyes will change color because they can't get consistency down. So like there's
and then there will be 5,000 free riders that just disappear.
8,000.
8,000 free riders.
That he just forgets about. Yeah.
And also, I only read like maybe half of one of those books when I was in middle school. Maybe I couldn't get through it, but from like living with you, a warrior as a kid when we were kids, it sounds like somebody's like fucking Wattpad furry fan fiction, basically.
It's not, but it really easily is. Like really easily.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
Don't look on DeviantArt.
No.
So, all right, next thing. So we talked about Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru.
Yes.
Aunt Beru didn't even get a mention in the trailer.
Yeah, maybe she's gonna try. Yeah, maybe she'll get a more fleshed out role.
Okay, so let's see here. What's another big one? So we talked about this stuff. Okay, here's one. Okay, so this is like the last shot of the whole trailer.
Mhm.
Boom, you see Vader's, his chest piece comes on. And like this is like the way they put Vader together in this, it's different than we've seen before. We've seen him like in his chamber, things are like very slow. He's in the Bacta tank, like it very slowly empties. Like this is like putting everything's on. Like
we're still early on in the Empire, and like Vader's probably still editing the hell out of his body too.
Yeah.
Because the Emperor made his body to be uncomfortable.
Right.
On purpose, so he wouldn't be a challenge to the Emperor. So this is probably
also where he can draw his dark side energy from, his pain.
Exactly. So maybe this is like he's still like he's like like Frankenstein's monster. If Frankenstein also like is into being like surgery on himself, like Hush, like he's editing himself constantly.
Also, and Anakin is a tinkerer. It's in his vehicles and stuff, and then he's working on himself too.
Yeah,
literally and figuratively. It always stuck in my craw because I thought last time we saw them together was Revenge of the Sith. They were both master Jedi basically. Yep. So why would he say that?
So it goes back to that point where we pointed out that Obi-Wan Kenobi is not getting worse at being a Jedi and at fighting. He's actually getting much better.
Right.
So Vader is a new person still.
Right.
And no matter what, throughout the entire series, Vader is the apprentice of the Emperor throughout the entire trilogy. So yeah, he is still learning.
But that's the thing. So I was like, why they were both masters? But then I realized, he wasn't talking about being a Jedi master. He was talking about being a master of the Sith. Mm-hmm. He was talking about being a Lord of the Sith. So when they last met, it could work for anything. But like if we see them meet up in this, like Darth Vader will have not be considering himself a master of the Sith. He will still be a Sith baby.
Yes,
he will
exactly.
So that's the little insight I've got. If we see him face Obi-Wan, we know for a fact that he's not a full-on Sith.
Well, and also if he faces Obi-Wan at any point in the series, he's been a Sith for a shorter amount of time than he's been a Jedi.
Right.
So he's still learning.
Right.
There's still like paths in the dark side and the way of the Sith that needs to be known.
Yeah. So he's this is incomplete. Darth Vader.
Yes.
Yes.
Very much excited to see what he looks like though.
Yeah. And okay, so this I was gonna say this shot here. So we see Darth Vader. You can't escape him. Darth Vader. His chest comes on. You hear him breathe.
Yeah.
You hear that little. No, that little like when he like seals his helmet, you hear a little like as the air like seals itself, and then all of a sudden go right to Obi-Wan Kenobi, a tormented, haunted man.
Ewan McGregor is such a good actor. One of the things I saw that the reason why they went with what's his name? He was in The Dark Knight Rises.
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. One of the reasons they went with Tom Hardy with Bane is because at the end of Bronson. Jesus, what are my names today? He like smiled and showed like he could had mastery over his entire face. That's why they chose him for Bane. And I feel like this picture shows that Ewan McGregor is able to like have that kind of emotion all over his face.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. But in this part, you see like he is like. He is haunted by Darth Vader and who like what happened to Anakin Skywalker, and like we see Darth Vader, he is a monster, and we see that he is haunted by that. It's like Frankenstein. He's haunted by his own creation.
Exactly.
The
Quite literally, he's the one that created the monster, and the monster is hunting him down.
Layers upon layers upon layers.
You see, Star Wars is like an onion. Makes you cry? No.
It's got layers. Okay, so here's a little something.
Okay.
I didn't realize until very late in the game that from a meme, I was scrolling through Facebook, I saw a meme or description when in Revenge of the Sith, when Anakin gets the Darth Vader helmet put on him for the first time, like very faintly as it's sealing up, you can hear him yell, "Padme, help me."
Yeah.
And like I was like, no way. So I went back and watched it, and sure enough, it happened. And like, oh my god, like it was jarring and haunting. Like it was. I didn't realize that but it shook me to my core. Yeah.
That entire people don't give the credit to Revenge of the Sith. It is a very emotional movie.
Oh yeah, it's a great I watched when I went to Japan, I had a 16-hour flight. I watched Revenge of the Sith, and it's a great movie. It's got so like as an adult you can last time I saw it in depth. I think I was a kid watching it again as an adult. It's got so many layers of drama, and you can if you're paying attention as an adult would, you can see Anakin going through this. And the other thing was with that last season of the Clone Wars, the one that came out in Disney Plus.
Yeah.
You can see where there was a jarring transition for Anakin. Personally, so the last battle we see him on, he's up on that bridge and he's like, "You all," he's taunting the droids, "You all, I'm giving you the last chance to surrender." And then by himself, he with the Force reaches across the bridge, pulls the single droid over and destroys it. So he's winning battles by himself. He's on the battlefield, in the trenches, doing the work. And then he comes back to Coruscant, which is all politics.
Right.
And all we're not allowing you to be on the Jedi Council.
And he's probably suffering from PTSD and then of course all the fear, probably all seeing all the death and destruction, and then realizing he's having a secret baby with Padme.
Yeah. I think that's a big detail that you miss from Revenge of the Sith, is that he's going from being in the trenches fighting this battle,
fighting the war.
Yeah, you see that you remember that movie All Quiet on the Western Front?
Yeah, of course. I read the book too.
Yeah, it's about World War I soldiers, and the guy, they hate being in the trenches. It's the most horrific experience of their life, but then he gets leave to go back home, and he can't he can't be around people.
Yeah,
he's this. You guys are all so full of shit, and this isn't
this isn't real life.
This isn't real life. Yeah, and so he goes back early, which is that's a real life story, but you can apply it to these characters where Anakin's he's in the trenches, he's in the real life, and he's got to come back to Coruscant and deal with all this political bullshit.
Bureaucracy. Mm-hmm. It's very different, Yeah.
So I think that was a big thing that you didn't really get from Revenge of the Sith.
Which is really interesting because Star Wars, I think, is one of the only mediums that you can have a complete story, but you have to have all of this well-rounded that's everything.
I hadn't thought about it. So because every other movie and franchise, you only get what's on screen in those movies. Yep. But Star Wars has so much material, you can see the entire panorama.
So obviously, the prequel trilogy is not the perfect.
Right.
But when you insert the Clone Wars and the Bad Batch and everything else into those movies and watch them chronologically, it's a much better series. It's a long series.
Yeah. But
it's very, very good.
What is it with David Filoni and so these CG animated series that headed by David Filoni, they go from cute, cuddly, fluff pieces of episodes to just pure, emotional, sublime trauma.
I have a theory for that.
What?
So one of the big draws for the Harry Potter series, obviously, fuck J.K. Rowling,
right?
But that's the official Area 91.
Yep, we're gonna sell T-shirts.
Fuck it, fucker. But the big draw, and one of the things that Harry Potter did that no other book series did, is that it progressed with the readers.
Mhm.
But especially that's why it's really big to our generation, because when the first book came out, Harry Potter was our age, and by the time Deathly Hallows came out, Harry Potter was our age, and he was going through realistic stuff
Right.
that we were going through.
Yeah, like the books didn't 100% line up, but when
Yeah.
the last movie came out, I was 17 and graduating from high school.
Exactly. So I think David Filoni kind of knows, get kids in with the fluffy creatures, but as they age, they're going to expect more complex stories.
Right.
People are not gonna want to see a kids show, and at some point it's gonna have to be for teens and young adults.
Yeah. So like this early episode of the last season of Clone Wars is Ahsoka with the hipster sisters doing some goofy stuff, and then it goes forward to Rex fighting his inhibitor chip, trying not to betray his friend.
Exactly.
And then with the Bad Batch, it's like, oh, they're gonna have an episode where they rescue the baby Rancor, and it's so cute and cuddly. And then cut to the episode where they watch the clone facility tanks get destroyed.
It's horrifying.
Oh God,
that was.
It was
hurt, especially watching all of the Clone Wars and everything that happened on Kamino, and seeing the brotherly love, and then watching that happen.
Yeah.
You realize also that the clones with the inhibitor chips, they're conscious of what's going on. They're having actual emotions during this, but they can't help themselves. It's horrific.
And also, so when Attack of the Clones came out, we were children. We were literal children.
We were babies.
So like that image of like the clone facilities on Kamino, like taken in that world. That's like and then up through the Clone Wars TV show, like that's our childhood.
Yeah.
And then as adults, we watch everything get destroyed.
Which is what an apt analogy.
Whoa. Can we not, Dave Filoni? Can we not?
Yeah, Dave Filoni. Can we get like some more like Rodriguez sisters?
Yeah, it's or more Moki, I think, which is the name of the Rancor.
Yeah.
And the voice acting. Don't even get me started.
First of all, I think we're hitting a golden age of voice actors. Obviously animation doesn't get the love and credit it deserves.
Yeah.
But voice actors put in the work.
Right.
So well.
The thing, this is I've looked into it a little bit. This is like a very truncated version of the history of voice acting. So like with animated movies, beforehand they would use like stage actors. So like the 50s, 60s and stuff. The classic age of animation. Those were stage actors who were doing a lot of the stuff, a lot of the voice acting for like the Disney things. And then I've seen a couple of video essays on this. I'd like to do more research, but what changed the game was Robin Williams as the Genie.
Oh yeah.
Like that was such an amazing, perfect combination. Like because even all the other voices in the Disney Renaissance, like you've never heard of any of those actors.
James Earl Jones.
Lion
King had a lot of really
some really high end actors, but like that what Robin Williams started was the celebrities voicing it. That's animated characters, and so like the big animated movies still have a lot of that. So you get people like Steve Carell doing Despicable Me, and you have people like Chris Pratt doing Mario. Like they've got personality. They're good act.
I just want to put this out here. I am going to start a petition to replace Chris Pratt as Mario with Danny DeVito. He's the pipe man. I go around and I smash people on the head with the pipes.
I hit my head on the bricks and the gold comes out of it.
I need Charlie. I ate a mushroom and it grew at 6 feet. What is going on with me?
Of course, like if Danny DeVito ate one of those mushrooms, he'd just grow to normal size.
Like Charlie Day. With Danny DeVito playing them.
Charlie Day is
Luigi. Yeah, so you already have the chemistry. So you and Mario are brothers. Yeah, we're brothers. So you guys share this futon? No. I only see one futon. It works out. Don't ask questions. You have pipe problems, right?
Like, you're gonna have to sleep with an old man. Charlie, you sleep with an old man for the only reason I can discern is that you seem to enjoy it.
perfect.
So, where was I? So yeah, voice actors.
Voice actors.
So you get people like so you still do get a lot of like just celebrities as voice actors. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But then you get the people who are legit voice actors, and they end up in things like Clone Wars or a lot of video game voice actors, etc. And they blow it out of the water.
So good.
And like I love it when voice actors have just like that smooth effort. Like Castlevania, like the Netflix animated series has that, where they're just effortlessly in this character and it just flows. So
honestly, I think of like the Skyrim voice actors.
Yes, exactly.
Just perfect flowing. Like that game has a lot of flaws to it. The voice actors are not one of them.
Yeah, or like Spot, or like I watched Vox Machina, Legend of Vox Machina.
I thought it was okay.
It was okay, yeah, but same thing with Critical Role, which I haven't watched a lot of them, but they're all voice actors, and it all just comes off so effortless and perfect for all the characters.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, next thing. Geez, we've harped on
we really went in on this.
We're already over half an hour, so let's see here.
Well, what's the next big thing coming out? One of the big things that is gonna hit us.
Big as a house.
Big as a house, like a fucking dump truck. It's House of the Dragon. It's House of the Dragon. It's got me fired up. It's House of the Dragon. Goddamn, get the picture up. I already did it. I can't hype it up.
Here we go. Here's one. There it is.
Anyway, House of the Dragon is coming out in 3 months.
Big old House of the Dragon.
Big old House of the Dragon.
Heavy as a Chevy, thicker than a Snicker.
Shut up. So what we got here is we got Matt Smith as Daemon Targaryen, the Rogue Prince, and Emma Darcy.
Emma
Darcy.
Yeah, okay.
As Princess Rhaenyra. So
these are going to be the two. So that's Matt Smith.
He was best known as Doctor Who.
I was going to say best known as Prince Philip in The Crown, but whatever.
Or what's his nuts from fucking Morbius.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, the best movie of the year.
But basically, these two are going to be the big characters. So Rhaenys is going to be, this is what we know so far.
So
Rhaenys
this is spoiler alert because this has all been covered in the histories of Game of Thrones, even in the TV show and of course in the books which we read and in all the analog history. So spoiler alert for the show.
Yeah. So but this is just what's going to happen. Like you can see it happening in the trailer, so it's not really that big of a spoiler. But Rhaenys is going to be the heir presumptive of the throne, which people are upset about because people thought apparently what's his face Matt Smith. Is Daemon
Targaryen.
It thinks that he's going to be king because he's the king's the sitting king's brother, and the sitting king doesn't have any sons, right?
Okay, so wrong.
Okay. Well,
shut the fuck up.
Okay,
what you need to do is you need to take a step back and fuck your own face.
I'm sorry that I spent more time like learning stuff and not on a wiki of Ice and Fire.
It's kind of what I did in college. Sometimes they were in class, I would just be like bored out of my mind, so I just read their wiki.
And
so basically, it's kind of confusing because obviously this is a royal family that keeps it in the family. So things get a little interesting. So Rhaenys is the firstborn daughter of King Viserys the First, played by Paddy Considine. Considine?
I don't remember.
So she's the firstborn. But I think so. I'm pretty sure that these two are playing brother and sister. But
that's her uncle.
Oh, that's her uncle.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's probably. I was forgetting about that. So what happens is that he King Viserys marries another woman, Hightower.
Yeah, something Hightower.
Something Hightower, and has a son, Aegon.
Mm-hmm.
Aegon the Pretender. But on his deathbed, he names her. So Viserys does die.
Yeah.
It's not probably in the first season. Dies and leaves the kingdom to Rhaenyra. However, obviously being, a medieval kingdom and everything.
A Game of Thrones kingdom.
Game of Thrones kingdom.
Gamers got a game.
Gamers got a game. They don't want a woman in charge.
Mm-hmm.
So they begin supporting Aegon instead.
Yeah, and he's like the popular jock of King's Landing.
He is.
He's the one who starts the Gold Cloaks and is like running the show, basically.
I don't think he starts the Gold Cloaks.
I'm pretty sure he does.
I don't think he does. I think the Gold Cloaks is started by the Dragon Prince, the Dragon Knight.
Anyway.
Anywho, that's never here or there. Thus starts the Dance of the Dragons, aka the very, very big Civil War.
Yeah, it's this. Oh, that's interesting. All right, let's hop right into the dragons. So this is a tweet that was released by House of the Dragon, kind of showing off the character design for one of the dragons, and it looks like it's going to be different from what we saw with the
Rhaegal, Viserys.
Yeah, it was where basically they just copied and pasted the design and then changed the color scheme.
Well, I kind of took that as because like they're all technically triplets,
right?
They're all born on the same day from like basically the same circumstances. But yeah, now we're gonna see Silverwing.
Yeah,
I cannot wait to see the variation is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, so we're gonna get some variety with the dragons.
But
what?
But expensive. It's gonna be
so
expensive.
That was the thing, like with the I don't people, a lot of people don't like the final season of Game of Thrones, but one of the big things was it was very dragon heavy, and a lot of the budget got sucked up by the dragons.
Exactly. So what I think is going to happen, I've seen a little bit of this, is that it's going to be a lot more localized. There's not going to be a lot of locations. It's probably going to take a lot of
mostly King's Landing,
Dragonstone, maybe a few other places. Probably especially like a supporting cast, a very small cast of characters, so we can get these dragons. But what I'm thinking is this season's not going to be a whole big blowout. They're going to see how it is, because obviously the last season of Game of Thrones, they have to see how many people are going to pay to see this.
Yeah.
So if this does really well, we're going to see a lot more dragons and expanding. Because if I just get one season of this, I'm going to be so pissed.
Right.
I'm going to be so pissed.
And yeah, so I don't know if this is going to do as well as Game of Thrones, because it's not as merchandisable.
It might. Okay, so first of all, weird, because when Game of Thrones came out, there wasn't a lot of streaming.
Right.
Like HBO had a subscription and it made a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
It's the game has changed now.
Yeah.
You can't just throw hundreds of millions of dollars at a show that will make 50 million from subscribers every month.
Yeah. It's more like an allowance than a payout.
Exactly. They do have a lot of other good content that brings people in, but that might be the way to do it, is like have a lot of like really high quality cheaper content and then have one really big flagship.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
instead of like Netflix that tries to do everything's a flagship.
Everything's a flagship. Everything's too expensive. They can't afford anything.
Fun fact: new Stranger Things. Every episode is going to cost about $30 million.
Oh shit!
An episode.
But that's a merchandisable.
That is merchandisable, but it is now the second most expensive show behind Lord of the Rings. But they're not going to be able to recoup that cost.
No.
Oh my god! But the dragons are going to be interesting to see. One thing I'm really interested to see is going to be dragon combat, because that's one of the big things of the Dance of the Dragons. Is dragons are not both sides aren't just using dragons. Dragons are actually fighting each other.
Yeah. And
this being shrouded in darkness is not going to cut it.
No, it's going to have to be some daylight battles.
Yeah. And from what George R. R. Martin has said, because he was actually working on set and previewing
instead of writing Winds of Winter.
I have an update on that too, if you want to get into that
at
some point. But he said it's going to be really good. He likes it, and there's going to be some big battles. So we might actually get some skirmishes in this season.
Right.
But I'm excited. Honestly, I had a lot of reservations. I was kind of like weary of it. Like, what's going to happen? This better be fucking good. And I think it is going to be good. So if you go back to the picture of the of Matt Smith and Eamon Darcy, I think the costumes in this look really good. Like, definitely when Game of Thrones came out, I felt like they're kind of like medieval but pseudo-modern. Like a little modern. This looks like what would transition into the style.
It definitely feels like a different era too.
Yes.
So like the I didn't get any pictures, but you can definitely see, like when they're like presenting for the king and like bowing and stuff, you see like this lady has like everything's much more intricate and ornate. It looks like someone actually like made this for this type of event.
And one of the things I like too is that the gold cloaks that we saw, their armor is very bulky instead of the very thin and easy to maneuver gold cloaks that we're used to in the original series. So I like that. I like that transition.
Yeah.
That not everything stayed the same.
Right. let's talk about. That's all I've got for.
Okay. Well, I do have updates.
Okay, let's hear
So
it.
first of all, Winds of Winter.
Yeah.
He is working on it. He is officially working on it, and it will be out probably soon. He's in the stages of editing and doing everything like that. So we might get Winds of Winter within the next 2 years, which is obviously vague.
Yeah.
But it's coming.
It's
It's definitely coming.
It's definitely coming.
Yes.
The dragons are coming.
But one thing I want to talk about is Uncharted. Did you know that was a movie?
I had heard that it was a thing. I saw the
thing.
trailers. I decided to give it a pass almost instantly.
Yeah. So one of the things. So Tom Holland is obviously a really big actor right now, and obviously this cast is stacked. Antonio Banderas. We need to use him more.
Yeah.
In movies. God damn it. Why wasn't he in Game of Thrones?
Or what's the Prince of Dorne?
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, exactly.
Doran Martell.
Yeah.
Or even like, Lord Ironwood.
Yeah.
Would have been really good. Digress. But this movie just like happened, like there was like a lot of build up to this. Like everyone was like, there was a ton of marketing behind it. All the Uncharted fans were behind it because Uncharted is a pretty popular series.
Yeah. It's very action heavy.
Yeah, and then it was released. And then that's it. So this movie has an average about 45% on Rotten Tomatoes and on Metacritic. So like people really didn't like this movie that much.
Like for a video game movie though, that's high praise.
That's high praise. But like this is a Tom Holland movie. Like it's obvious that Tom Holland they're just putting him into movies that are just barely movies.
Yeah.
Like Chaos Walking.
Well, why is he in these terrible movies?
He's bankable. I mean, he's Spider-Man. So they get a barely passable movie with it's with a recognizable brand. Put Tom Holland in it, and don't do anything else.
Yeah,
and that's basically it. I just thought it was kind of funny. This was kind of billed as like the video game movie that was actually going to put us over the top and like rewrite how video game movies are
done. Yeah. That's what they said with Warcraft. That's what they said with Doom.
I like Doom.
That's what they said with Name of the King.
That's a video game?
It's a video game. Yeah, it was a video game and like one of the worst movies ever made. Thanks, Jason Statham.
Yeah, Jason, dick. But time for Jarrett's just seen it.
Okay, what'd you just see?
Is that what I called it last time? Did I call it something different every time?
But you finally got around to seeing a movie. Doesn't necessarily need to be new. Just you saw it.
I just got it. Yeah. So in this segment, there's a movie or TV show I just kind of get around to seeing finally. Unfortunately, sometimes it takes a long time. We have busy stuff, and I'm really busy rewatching Always Sunny in Philadelphia for the 50th time.
Yeah.
So what I saw was Wolf of Snow Hollow. So this is on Amazon.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, 100%.
Yeah.
The best werewolf movie I've seen.
Better than The Howling?
Better than The Howling.
Better than War Dogs?
Yeah.
Better than American Werewolf in London. Yes. Which is really only good because it was good special effects for the time.
Yes. This, I think, could be the werewolf movie of our generation.
Okay.
Essentially. So, I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but the werewolf effects are really good. The characters are really good. The story, the atmosphere, phenomenal. It's kind of light on the gore, which actually helps it in a lot of senses. But at the end, when they find out who the werewolf is, there's just one scene, and the actor who plays the werewolf, phenomenal.
It's
phenomenal.
So it's kind of a mystery, right?
It is a mystery. I will tell you right now, it comes out of nowhere. They don't show. It's not like a murder mystery, like who done it. It's just a police procedural, and then you find out in the end.
So okay, what was that werewolf movie? The English one where they're on the train, and they go through the forest.
Oh yeah.
You're like, let's watch this. It's supposed to be a really good werewolf movie, and it was literally just like
It was
like,
fine.
It was literally like an hour, like two. It was way too long. It was like 2.5 hours of them being like, "What should we do? I don't know."
It's one of those. It's the bottle episodes where people get picked off, and like those are like inherently frustrating. This is like if a werewolf was real,
Okay.
right? If a werewolf was real and in a small town, this is the most realistic I've ever seen.
Okay.
So, one of the things I went into this is that I don't think Hollywood and a lot of people know how to do werewolves. Like, because everyone wants. If you're doing a werewolf movie, it's because you couldn't get the rights or an idea to the vampire movie. You know?
Yeah. And these things like werewolves, vampires, like after a while, I began to wonder: is like, are they like? Are these concepts like good?
Yeah.
Or is it just that we've been like? Are they good because they've been around for a long time, or do we just think that they're good because they've been around for a long time?
Absolutely.
Like, is there something intrinsically interesting about like the werewolf vampire premise, or is it just that it's an easy one to use?
So, like for this one, they treat it more as a serial killer.
Okay.
They like just straight up. It's like a serial killer. For me, I don't think werewolves are done very well, and I think it's kind of a joke at this point. This movie made me feel like werewolves are now a horror genre. Like, always, like, usually when there's like werewolves versus vampires, werewolves are the good guys. Basically, that's kind of how it boils down to.
Yeah, or it's some sort of romantic edge, and the werewolf's the scruffy guy with the leather jacket. I wonder which one's the werewolf and which one's the vampire.
Yes, exactly. This really did do a 180 for me for werewolves. Actually did a 360 and then a 180. It was that good.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good there's like some real weird comedy parts in it, but I think it works if you go into it just like these are real people and this is their real reactions,
Right.
Phenomenal movie. So obviously the past couple times I've been doing this, they've been good movies, but don't worry, I'm gonna get some bad ones in there.
Okay, I believe it. All right, anything else you want to talk about? I've got a really really random thought.
Okay.
So we all know Andy Serkis, the master of mocap, basically.
Obviously.
So like, is Andy Serkis a beast? Like, physically, is he? So think about it. So first of all, like his whole career has been, heavily mocap, which requires, first of all, heavy control of your body
and face.
Yep. Secondly, like a lot of it is like quadrupedal. He's been doing quadrupedal movement for most of his career.
Yeah.
Which I thought of this working out one time. I was like, because I do quadrupedal working out. If he spent like his whole professional career like physically, his mobility has got to be off the charts.
Yeah,
like he's got to be semi superhuman at this point.
Especially with like when they do like this kind of mocap stuff, it takes a long time. So he's doing this for like hours and hours every day.
And look at that. Like, so he's not being held up by any wires. So like that position, like to be that smooth and that comfortable in that position. As a guy who does a lot of this stuff for working out, that's not easy. I
do have some thoughts on this. First of all, if you've ever seen Andy Serkis, he's fit.
Yeah.
He is fit. He's a fit dude. First of all, Claw in the Marvel.
Yeah.
Wasted character.
Yeah.
Wasted character. So, so mocap is really interesting. So it doesn't work with everyone's faces.
Yeah.
Which is really weird because that's why you get like some people's faces just don't work. So I think Andy Serkis just has that proportions where mocap just works so much better.
Yeah.
Also, we've talked about this before. Actors have to be triple threats. They have to sing, they have to act, and more importantly, they have to dance.
Mm-hmm.
So motion like this is kind of part of dance. You have to be flexible and stuff. And Andy Serkis is, I don't want to be insulting or anything, but he's pretty old. He's pushing 50s.
Yeah.
So, I'm thinking it's really impressive that he can do all this, but also, that's what I would expect of Andy Serkis. I hold him in high regard. I think he could do this.
I'm wondering about that. Like, you see him in movies and stuff, and he looks fit, but he looks like a normal guy. But I think that he's probably physically got to be pretty beastly. He's got to be able to have all that. He's he's probably gonna.
If you have any shirtless pictures of Andy Serkis recently, please send them. Or Andy Serkis, if you see this video.
Yeah, Andy Serkis is taking his time out of breaking the mold when it comes to motion capture yet again to watch our podcast. Okay.
Taking pictures for us.
Yeah, he's busy mocapping like an orangutan for a documentary or something.
Oh yeah.
Or
but yeah, I think he's a beast. I think he's a beast. He's also a phenomenal actor in general, even without the mocap. I think we forget that sometimes.
oh yeah,
A lot of times he is a phenomenal actor. One of my favorites is Alfred, the Batman. But Claw, I thought had the dangerous charisma that I think a lot of villains from Marvel were lacking.
Yeah. Speaking of wasted characters and Star Wars, so Snoke was. I recently caught some clips of like the throne room scene with Snoke, and Andy Serkis's voice and like his physicality in those scenes is spot on. Like I'm really upset that character ended up just being a meat puppet and they just completely disregarded that character. Basically,
It should have been like a chess game between Leia Organa and Snoke.
Yeah.
Like instead of like Anakin Skywalker creating Snoke, Leia should have been the one that accidentally created Snoke and gave him his power.
right. And like and no hate to the actor who plays Palpatine, Ian McDiarmid.
Ian McDiarmid.
Anyway, no hate to him. Love Palpatine as a character, but like watching Snoke and like hearing that voice and watching the character come together, like it was just so much more evil for a modern.
I think Ian McDiarmid obviously had 6 films, 7.
Yeah,
that film doesn't even exist to me. Had 6 films to basically use that character and build him up, whereas Andy Serkis only had like 2.
He only had 2, and then they basically were like that character doesn't mean anything. Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, I think that we've
Covered
pretty much everything in the Star Wars universe.
Let us know if you guys have any suggestions for what we should go over next. If you have any questions that you want us to have answered live on air, just leave your name, your question, your comment, and your preferred name and pronoun, and then we'll answer it live.
You got it. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. We will be back as soon as possible. Things are a little crazy right now, but hopefully, like Jared said, we've got a new project in the offing, which I don't want to get ahead of myself on. I usually get ahead of myself, but I'm excited about this one. So,
and I know we say this a lot, and obviously we do this for the fans and even for our own enjoyment, and we do try to remain consistent with our releasing schedule. However, our lives do get in the way. We try to keep you guys up to date with what's going on, but of course our own lives and mental health have to come before that. We know you guys understand, and we love you for that.
Yes. So thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you for watching. Be sure to check out Big Nerd Coffee Company and check out Area Nerdy One across all of our social media platforms.
All the medias, including TikTok. Remember, once we get enough players in our Multiverse of Madness, we're going to have a showdown, and you guys get to pick the winners.
That's right. All right. This has been Jimmy.
This has been Jared.
And